So if you're new here, welcome. My name is Richie, and this little space is for football as I see it, as I feel it. This isn't the world of polished pundits, sound bites, and clickbait. This is a view from my chair. This is football from the perspective of a lifelong disabled fan who has lived and breathed every kick, screamed at every TV, and felt the weight of every single defeat in a way that is maybe a little different. As a disabled sport, match days are more than just 90 minutes of entertainment for me. They've always been a lifeline, a weekly anchor in a world that can often feel too heavy, restrictive, and isolating. When you can't just jump up and down, when you can't pace the living room floor with nervous energy, when you can't run onto the street and celebrate with a primal scream, the emotions of the game, both joy and despair, tend to sit with you. They reverberate, they linger. So when I talk about the toughest part of being an Arsenal fan, I'm not talking about abstract tactics or transfer theories. I'm talking about moments that have generally physically hurt, the kinds of moments that settle deep in your bones and stay there, especially when you just can't get up and shake them off. The moments that echo in the quiet of a long room after the final whistle. Today, I want to take you on that journey. We'll walk through the heartbreaks that leave permanent scars. We'll confront the endless frustrations of the men in suits who run our club. We'll dissect the gap between our sky high expectations and the often brutal reality. We'll explore the emotional roller coaster and how, from my perspective, disability adds another invisible layer to that ride. And finally, after all that, we'll try to answer the ultimate question: why, despite all the evidence, all the pain, do we still love this club with every fibre of our being? Let's start where every modern Arsenal story seems to begin, with the pain we all know too well. If you like this video, please share, like, comment, subscribe. Big Sunday show every Sunday. Quiz, get involved. Go to In the North Bank and jump into it. Register, and then on the Sunday. Come and join the quiz. You'll have brilliant fun. Let's get straight back into this. You know, being an Arsenal fan isn't just about supporting a football club. It's a full-time emotional job. It's an unpaid, all-consuming, lifelong contract you sign in your heart, usually without reading the very fine print. There are no holidays, no sick days, and for huge parts of the last 5 decades, you're just left staring into the middle distance, wondering why on earth you signed up for this peculiar brand of beautiful suffering in the first place. I'm 54 years old. I've been a Gooner since 1978. Or uh, I'm a disabled Gooner, and for me, this club, this beautiful, frustrating, maddening, glorious club, has been more than a hobby. It's been a constant. I've seen it all. The dizzying champagne-soaked highs, the gritty glory of '89, the sheer breathtaking art of the Invincibles. And I felt the other side, the gut-wrenching, soul-crushing heartbreaks, the near misses that sting way more than any thrashing, the slow, grinding erosion of the banter years, the false dawns that promised paradise and delivered only pain. And through all of that, for many years, I've held on to one brutal thought, a private confession I've never really said out loud, maybe not even to myself. Today, I'm not laying it all bare. What is the single toughest part of being an Arsenal fan? What's the unique agonising truth at the heart of this near half-century love affair. Stick with me, because I'm about to unpack those years of red and white obsession straight from the heart. It's a long and winding road filled with ghosts and glories, and I promise you, the answer isn't what you think it is. Let's be honest, we have to start with the heartbreaks, because at Arsenal, and as Arsenal fans, we don't just experience them, we collect them. We are connoisseurs of glorious cinematic failure. We specialise in it, don't we? It's not enough to simply lose. We have to lose in the most poetic, gut-wrenching, hope-shattering way imaginable. There is no greater exhibit in this museum of pain than Paris, Wednesday the 17th of May 2006, the Champions League final. Our first, the peak of everything Arsene Wenger had built. We were there against Barcelona. For a fan who'd seen the barren years, this felt like the summit of the mountain. Destiny was in the air. We'd gone through the knockouts without conceding a single goal, a masterclass against giants like Real Madrid and Juventus. We weren't just happy to be there, we were worthy contenders. The game starts, the tension is unbearable, and then, just 18 minutes in, the moment that defines our modern history. The ball over the top, Samuel Eto'o is through, and Jens Lehmann, our Titan in goal, comes rushing out, who brings Eto'o down. Just outside the box, the referee, Terj Haig, blows his whistle, killing the play instantly. Split second later, Ludovic Gieli would have tapped the loose ball into an empty net, but the whistle had already gone. The ref pulls out a red card, Lehmann is gone. First player ever sent off in the Champions League final. 18 minutes in, the dream is already a nightmare. Robert Perez, the artist, the legend, is sacrificed for the substitute keeper, Manuel Almunia, his final game for the club, ending not with a flourish but with a slow, tragic walk to the sideline. Despair, utter, abject despair. But then comes the Arsenal signature, the thing that truly defines our pain, the hope. 37th minute, a free kick, whipped in by the king, Thierry Henry, and rising like a colossus is Sol Campbell. He meets the ball with his head, a powerful, thunderous connection, it flies into the back of the net. 1-0 to the 10 men of Arsenal. The eruption, the sheer unadulterated pandemonium in pubs, in living rooms, and especially in my living room, all over the world. Gooners were losing their minds. For one glorious, fleeting moment, you didn't just hope. You believed. You believed with every ounce of your being. Is this it? Can we actually do this? We're going to beat them with 10 men. This is our story. This is our history. For the next 40 minutes, we fought like lions. We scrapped for everything. Henry had a chance, a one-on-one to make it 2-0 and seal it, but Valdez saved. The margins, always the damn margins. Then, on the hour mark, Barca make a change. 30-year-old Swedish striker named Henrik Larsson, who would become the protagonist of our tragedy. His introduction changed everything. 76th minute, Larsson's clever touch plays in Eto'o. Goal, 1-1. The heart sinks. The belief phrase. You can feel the inevitable wave coming. 4 minutes later, 80 minutes on the clock. Again, it's Larsson. A sublime little flick puts in the most unlikely of goal scorers, a right back, Giuliano Belletti. He shoots through Almunia's leg, 2-1, and that's it. Over. The dream is dead. You're just left sitting there, empty, numb, silent. That is Arsenal's core signature. We don't just lose, we are made to believe first. We are hoisted to the clouds, shown the promised land, allowed to taste it before it's ripped away in the most brutal fashion imaginable. As a disabled fan, I couldn't pace the room. I couldn't go for a long walk. I couldn't hit a pillow. I just had to sit there, stewing in that silent agony, replaying every what if. What if Lehman had stayed on his line? What if Henri had scored? It's a unique kind of torment. That night in Paris set the tone for so much that followed. It was the blueprint for a new era of exquisite failure. Remember the 2011 League Cup final? Our chance to end a 9-year trophy drought. We were playing Birmingham City, a team that would be relegated that very season. A formality. We were overwhelming favourites, and for 88 minutes it was a tense 1-1. Then in the 89th minute, a long, hopeful punt upfield from their keeper, a nothing ball, a simple catch for our keeper, Wojciech Szczesny, but Lauren Koscielny, for some reason, tries to clear it. A moment of catastrophic miscommunication. The ball bobbles, spills from Szczesny's grasp, and falls directly to Obafemi Martins, who taps it into an empty net. 2-1, game over, a trophy, our trophy, handed over through a moment of sheer farce. It's a pattern, a recurring pattern, a nightmare, and it's pain, sharpened by the memory of what we once were. The 2003 fall season, it feels like a myth now. Played 38, won 26, drew 12, lost none. The only team in the Premier League era to go an entire league campaign unbeaten. We didn't just win the league, we achieved immortality. They gave us a special golden replica trophy because it was an achievement beyond normal success. Thierry Henry scored 30 league goals. The free-flowing magic of Bergkamp, Pires, Vieira. We clinched the title at White Hart Lane, the home of our fiercest rivals. It was football as art. It was perfection. But what happens to that perfect golden memory? It becomes a stick to beat us through. Every failure since is measured against it. Yeah, but you haven't won the league since that golden generation. For all its brilliance, still left the Champions League on the table. The exit to Chelsea that same season still stings. It's the what ifs that haunt you. For me, those highlights are a form of escape. My happy place. But the joy is always tinged with the melancholy of what came after. The slow decline, the feeling that we flew too close to the sun and have been falling ever since. This pattern of pain isn't just ancient history. Look at the 2023-23 season under Mikel Arteta. A new, young, vibrant Arsenal, playing football that reminded us of the old days. We were top of the league for 248 days, 8 point clear at one point stage. The belief was back. It was real. This is it. We're finally back. And then, April, a 2-2 draw at West Ham after being 2-0 up. A shocking 3-3 draw at home to bottom of the table Southampton. By the time we faced Manchester City, our spirit was frayed. They beat us convincingly, and our challenge crumbled to dust. The means appeared, bottlers, same old Arsenal, that familiar script. Played out for a new generation. It's always the hope that gets you in the end. I'm just going to have a quick drink. Sorry about this. Now, let's talk about something that makes the blood boil in a different way. It's not the sharp agony of a last-minute goal. It's the dull, chronic ache of feeling like your club, your identity is being slowly hollowed out. Let's talk about the ownership. For so many of us, the spiritual heart of this club will always be Highbury. It wasn't just a stadium, it was home. Intimate, historic, soulful. You were so close you could hear the players breathing. It had soul baked into its foundations. Then came the move to the Emirates Stadium. We were sold a vision, a necessary step for a long-term gain, they said. The promise was that this magnificent new stadium would give us the financial firepower to compete with the new giants like Chelsea and Manchester City. We would be at Europe's top table for good. But what was the reality? A decade of austerity, sky-high ticket prices, some of the most expensive in the world, turning the match day into a rare luxury for so many. The reality was the mantra of the self-sustaining model. A corporate phrase, but to us fans meant a lack of ambition. And worst of all was watching our heroes, our captains, our best players sold off year after year. Often to our direct rivals. It was a production line of heartbreak. Cesc Fabregas, a captain and prodigal son, finally forcing his move back to Barcelona. He left in tears, his biggest regret being he never lifted a trophy as Arsenal captain. That felt like part of the club's soul being ripped up. Then, the ultimate betrayal. Robin van Persie, after he stood by him through years of injury, had one phenomenal season, scoring 30 league goals to drag us into the Champions League. Our captain, our talisman. That summer, he refused to sign a new contract, releasing a statement that publicly questioned the club's ambition before he was sold. Not just sold, but sold to Manchester United. To Sir Alex Ferguson. We had to watch as he scored the goals that won them the Premier League title the very next season. This period created a huge disconnect between the fans who bled red and white and the silent, distant ownership who seemed to view it all as a business on a ledger. The name Stan Kroenke became a lightning rod for this frustration. Silent Stan, an owner who rarely spoke, rarely attended games, and seemed to embody this detached, purely financial approach. The protest started, banners and chants of "We want our Arsenal back" and "Kroenke out" became a regular feature. It wasn't just about losing anymore. It felt like a fight for the very identity of our club. It felt like identity theft. We weren't the lifeblood, we were customers. Sorry. Then came the ultimate insult, the European Super League. In April 21, the news broke that Arsenal was a founding member of a closed shop breakaway league, a project that would have destroyed competitive football. The outrage was volcanic. Thousands of fans gathered outside the Emirates to protest not just the Super League, but an ownership that could so fundamentally misunderstand what a football club means to its community. The club quickly backtracked and apologised, but the damage was done. It was the starkest proof yet of a gulf between the boardroom and the terraces. It confirmed our worst fears. As a disabled fan, this sense of commercialisation hits especially hard. Football is a vital source of community, but every price hike, every push towards premium experiences makes that connection harder to maintain. The cost of tickets, travel, logistics, it all adds up. It can make you feel like you're being priced out of your own family. When the club preaches Victoria, Concordia, Credit, victory through harmony, you feel a bit of irony. We are the community, yet so many of us feel sidelined. My mobility already limits my ability to physically join protests. The only outlet is to shout online, which feels like screaming into a hurricane. It's an isolating, grinding pain, feeling like you're losing what you love. Not in a 90-minute battle, but in a decade-long war of attrition. Next, we have to talk about the eternal torture chamber of the Arsenal fan. And that is the massive gap between expectation and reality. We are not just any club. We are Arsenal. The name itself carries weight. It evokes images of marble halls, cannon crests, and dominance. We're one of the giants of English football, a club with a history that drips with success, the club of the Invincibles, the club of Arsene Wenger's revolutionary empire. Our name is supposed to be mentioned alongside Manchester United and Liverpool. We're supposed to be footballing royalty. Because of that, every single season starts with the same thought. This is it. We're title challengers. Champions League football is the bare minimum. We should be winning trophies. This isn't arrogance, it's the expectation baked into our DNA from a lifetime of supporting a club of our stature. But what has been the brutal reality for much of the last 20 years? A trophy drought that stretched for 9 long years, a slow, humiliating slide from title contenders to a team desperately scrapping for fourth place, a feat our own manager at the time called a trophy. We swapped glorious Champions League nights against Real Madrid for a slog of Thursday nights in the Europa League. The online world has been merciless. We became the Vantage Club, a running joke. Fourth place trophy, specialists in failure. We had to endure taunts from our rivals. Even Spurs fans who, despite their own empty trophy cabinet, could point to a new stadium or a Champions League final as signs of progress, while we stagnated. This is the core of the torture. Holding both of these truths in your head at once is enough to drive you mad. The truth of our historic might versus the prolonged reality of mediocrity. It eats away at you. This conflict just doesn't affect our mood. It fractures the fan base. It turns us against each other. The great civil wars of the late Wenger era, Wenger in versus Wenger out, were born from this. One side, grateful for the glory he brought us, believing he could still turn it around. The other believing he was holding the club back. The arguments were vicious. They split friendships and made the atmosphere at the Emirates toxic. And that pattern continues. Arteta in or Arteta out. Bitter online wars over whether a player is good enough or signing was a waste of money. We spend so much energy fighting each other instead of our rivals. The opposition doesn't even need to mock us anymore. We do a pretty good job of it ourselves. This constant state of internal conflict is exhausting. it turns supporting your club from a joyous activity into a stressful, anxiety-inducing ordeal. You watch games not with hope, but with a knot in your stomach, waiting for a mistake that will justify one side's argument over the other. For fans like disabled fans like me, this is even more draining. Your energy is a finite resource. You don't have an unlimited supply to pour into anger and infighting. For me, I pour everything I have into those 90 minutes when the reality on the pitch falls so brutally short of the expectation up here in my head. The crash is harder. As I've said, there's no physical outlet, no way to burn off the frustration. It just sits there, a heavy weight on your chest. You're left with the deeper despair, the feeling that not only has the team let you down, but the entire institution you love is at war with itself, and you're caught in the crossfire. It's a weariness that goes far beyond a simple defeat. So let's talk about the emotional roller coaster. It's Arsenal's trademark. When you become a Gooner, you're strapped in to this ride against your will, and the safety bar comes down for good. There are no gentle slopes, only exhilarating climbs and stomach-lurching free-fall drops. One week it's a last-gasp sprinter, Reece Nelson against Bournemouth. The Emirates erupts, pure bedlam. You're on top of the world. This is it. This is our year. This is destiny. The feeling is euphoric, a drug that can keep you going for days. But the very next week, you can drop points at home to a team battling relegation. A sloppy pass, a defensive error. You're left staring blankly at the screen. The silence in the room is deafening. And the question echoes in the back of your head. Why? Why do I do this to myself? Why do I let myself get carried away every single time? That's a universal experience. But as a disabled Gooner, that ride is rougher. The peaks feel just as high, but the troughs feel so much deeper. Match days are the highlight of my week. Those 90 minutes are my escape, my connection to a world of movement, passion, and collective joy that is often physically out of my reach. It's my release from the daily battles with mobility, with fatigue, with pain. The four walls of my home, my bedroom even sometimes. When we win, the euphoria is a powerful medicine. It lifts my mood for days. It gives me a sense of belonging. That is incredibly potent. But when we lose, especially in that typically Arsenal way, snatching defeat from the jaws of victory, the devastation is profound. There is no pacing floor to walk off anger, no going to the pub with mates to drown the sorrows. There is just me, the silence of the room and the TV, now off, reflecting a tired, disappointed face. The errors, the missed chances, the collapse. They just replay in my mind on the loop. Arsenal Football Club has a terrifying, disproportionate power over my mental and physical well-being. I just can't switch it off. Over the years, I've learned there's a grim connection between the team's performance and my own body. A particularly gut-wrenching defeat can trigger a flare-up of my condition. The stress, the cortisol, the sheer emotional exhaustion, it all manifests physically. I've had days after a loss where the fatigue or pain is so bad I can barely move out of bed. I've had to miss appointments because of a football match has left me completely drained in those moments. I resent it. I resent how a group of millionaires kicking a ball hundreds of miles away can have such a real negative impact on my life. I resent how the club I love can unwittingly make the challenges I face every single day even harder. And yet, I always tune in for the next game. I can't help it because that passion, that connection, that hope that this time it will be different, that is my fire. It keeps me going, and that vulnerability, knowing I'm opening myself up to be hurt, not just emotionally, but physically, that for a long time is what I believed was the toughest part, to know the potential cost and to pay it anyway, week after week. But after all that, after decades, what is it? What is the single brutally honest truth I'm going to tell you? But first, I need to hear from you. For all the Gooners watching, what has been your single toughest moment? A match, a player leaving, a moment of boardroom betrayal? Drop it in the comments. Let's make this the biggest Arsenal therapy session the internet has ever seen. We're all in this together, right? The confession. After nearly 50 decades, after the trophies and the droughts, after Paris and Old Trafford, after the Invincibles, and the banter years, after Wenger and Conke, I can finally say it. The single toughest part of being an Arsenal fan, it's not the heartbreak, it's not the defeats, it's not the ownership, it's not the banter from rival fans. The single toughest part of supporting Arsenal Football Club is the beauty. It's a beautiful, exquisite, intoxicating way we play the game when we're at our best. The one-touch passing, the free-flowing movement, the moments of genius from a Bergkamp, a Henry, an Ozil, a Saka. The moments when the team clicks and produces football so sublime, it becomes art. That is the real poison. That is the true source of all our pain. Because it is that beauty that gives us hope. It's that beauty that makes you believe every single time that this team is special, that this team is capable of winning in the right way. We don't just want to win, we want to win with style. We are addicted to the aesthetics of our own football. And so we watch them build these beautiful, intricate sandcastles. We admire the patterns, the technique, the artistry. We fall in love with the process. And just as we stand back to admire the finished masterpiece, that tide comes in and washes it all away. We're left on the beach, heartbroken with nothing but the memory of how beautiful it was for a fleeting moment. That is the cycle. The beauty creates the hope, and the hope is what kills you. If we were an ugly team that just ground out results, the losses wouldn't hurt so much. But we're not. We are the club of the Arsenal way. We are the club capable of producing a moment of pure magic that pulls you right back in. It's the conflict between the club's soul, which is the artistic, and its body, which has so often been brittle. It's knowing we are capable of football in perfection and watching us repeatedly fall short to a lack of skill, a moment of madness, or a crisis of confidence. It's the curse of being Icarus. forever flying towards the sun on wings made of the most beautiful feathers, only to feel the wax melt time and time again. So, you're probably asking, after all that, why not quit? We don't renew the season tickets, we buy the new kits, we obsess over transfer rumours, we celebrate every goal like it's the first one we've ever seen. Why? Because that beauty, for all the pain it causes, it's also the reward. It gives us moments of pure, transcendent joy that fans of more practical, cynical clubs may never get to feel. The silky genius of the Invincibles, the FA Cup wins that broke the drought, the recent resurgence under an old captain, watching a young team play with our DNA again. We feel the pain more deeply because we have seen the beauty so clearly. The darkness is only so dark because we know how bright the light can be. The pain, in a strange way, makes the joy more epic. A win feels better than a string of losses. A trophy feels monumental after a 9-year drought. Good times hit harder because we've been through the darkness. That's my raw, honest take. The confession of a 54-year-old disabled Gooner who has seen it all and felt it all. From the solitude of my of this chair, of this house or my bed, it's our pain. And after all this time, I wouldn't trade it for anything. Though God knows, I would love another damn league trophy, a Champions League trophy, or an FA Cup, even a League Cup. If you made it this far, thank you. If you have enjoyed this video, please smash that like button, subscribe for more real talk Gooner vibes, and share it with a fellow fan who will understand. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves, especially if you're fighting your own battles alongside the teams. And as always, come on you Gunners!